So should I start?
Yeah, I'll introduce you. Okay, so I don't know if anyone else is coming, and I'm not going to use the mic because I think everyone can hear me over the crowd. So I'm Mike Hinton. I'm not part of the Women in Fandom, but I am the father of Zoe Hinton, and this is Johnamarie from the Wookiee Gunner, one of the really famous female podcasters and fans. And then Lizzy, who's in our picture, she actually lives in California, and like most podcasts, we have zero travel budget. So I just want to introduce them. Zoe's been a fan since she was a little kid. I brought one prop for me. Zoe recognizes this.
Yeah, I do.
This is a Qui-Gon lightsaber that I bought, when the movie came out, and it was in my collection. And when Zoe was probably 2-ish, 3, she used to walk around with this. And the only thing that's even funnier is I've seen her in the last year or two wearing this on her belt, walking around the house. So this is probably one of my more prized possessions, even though it's just a Qui-Gon lightsaber. So it makes me think of Zoe and her fandom. So I'm going to shut up and let the women of fandom speak. All right?
It's the...
That's on, yes.
Okay.
That's already on.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, cool. So we turn it on.
Yes.
And you wait for the numbers. So I think we're good. We're good. Yay! Well, thank you everyone for coming to the Women in Fandom panel with Star Wars Geek Girl here. So I'm Johnamarie Macias from the WookieeGunner.com, and I also do a podcast with my mom, and where we talk about the Star Wars animated shows, and that's called the Rebels Chat. And of course, right next to me is Zoe Hinton. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Zoe Hinton, and I run the Star Wars Geek Girl podcast with my best friend Lizzy, who lives in California, like my dad said, so she can't be here right now. But we just talk about pretty much all things Star Wars related, and sometimes not Star Wars related because we're easily distracted. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I've been there, so they get easily distracted by things, but it's always fun to talk with you guys. So we're going to start off by talking about our own experiences with Star Wars. So we just saw that you carried around that lightsaber as a kid, and that's super adorable. So what other experiences do you have growing up with Star Wars?
Growing up, I was too little when my dad first showed me the Star Wars movies, so I don't really remember watching them for the first time. The first thing I remember seeing Star Wars for the very first time would be the Clone Wars movie, which came out when I was in 2nd grade. And I still love it. I know some people don't like it, but I still love it.
I love it too.
And when I was 6 years old, I started trooping with the 501st Legion as a Jawa. It was a very tiny Jawa. And I've been trooping with them. Now I'm a Sabine because I outgrew the Jawa a little bit. But now, so I've been trooping with them in November. It'll be my 11th year.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Especially for me, because I'm only 16. And so that's a lot of my experience of the Star Wars come from watching Clone Wars growing up and just trooping.
So talk a bit more about the 501st, because from my understanding, you have to be 18 to be part of it, right?
Yeah, you have to be 18 to be officially.
And older, obviously, not just 18.
You have to be 18 and older to be in the 501st officially, but there is the Galactic Academy, which is for kids who have parents that they want to troop with and stuff like that. So right now I'm still a part of them. I'm not 18 yet, but yeah, you can join the Galactic Academy because I see there's kids here. So if you're interested in that, you can build your costume and sign up.
Yeah, that sounds cool. So talk a bit more about podcasting. So podcasting, how did you meet Lizzy?
Okay.
How'd that happen?
I did, and I still do, I would just ramble on about Star Wars like a lot. And my dad had recently, when I was like 9th grade, he had recently gotten into listening to Star Wars podcasts like Jonah's. And he was like, hey, since you talk so much, you should start a podcast. So I did. And at first I started it, and it was just me, and I would just have different guests on every week, or however often I did it. It wasn't every week. And then I think it was episode 5. My dad, because when he was, working and building on my Sabine costume, he had gotten into contact with Sal Perales because he and his family are like the first Rebels costumes. So Lizzy was right there, does Sabine. And so he said, hey, wouldn't it be cool, because my daughter has a podcast and she does the Sabines, wouldn't it be cool to have like 2 Sabines on an episode? So we did the podcast over Skype, and me and Lizzy just talked for I think that episode's still like one of our longest ones. It was like 2.5 hours, and we talked for like 3 more hours after
You
that.
realize that's the length of a movie, right?
Yeah. It was a really, really long podcast. We just talked and talked and talked, and then we exchanged phone numbers, and now Lizzy is like permanently the other half of Star Wars Geek Girl.
That's amazing. So what was your favorite experience that you shared with Lizzy?
I think because we first met in person at Celebration Orlando, which was like a year ago.
Yeah,
in April. And I think just hanging out with her that whole weekend was really cool. This is kind of about Lizzy, but I still very much remember in Celebration Orlando, her parents went off to do something. I think they had to record a podcast somewhere. So me and my sister hung out with Lizzy and her little brother, and my parents were there, and we just, hung out and played pool, kinda. And and then at the end of the night, my parents, I think my dad said to Lizzy's dad, he was like, oh, your kids are perfect. And Lizzy's dad and Lizzy's mom looked at each other like confused, like, what? Our kids perfect? And I still remember that. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, you guys are perfect. So a little bit of my own background with podcasting. So I started podcasting in 2013, somewhere around there. So it's 5 years ago. And it's been a blast because I started off with making StarWars.net, and then from there I moved on to doing my own little thing on the side, and I did that, like I mentioned before, with my mom. And I've just branched out to talk about Lego Star Wars and all these other topics that interest me. So it's cool that we, as girls in the fandom, find our spot somewhere, our little niche, where we can talk about the things that we love about Star Wars. So you don't do any blogging, do you?
No.
You should.
I should, I know. Because I like to write stuff. I just whenever I'm because whenever I feel like I have ideas to write about something, I'm either I'm busy or I just don't feel like doing anything.
Well, you are in school, so
yeah. And then when I do sit down, I'm like, okay, I should write something. I have no idea what I want to write about.
Gotcha. So, yeah, it definitely takes a lot of initiative and motivation to be able to maintain a blog. So I've done that for the last 5 years or so, and it's pretty cool what people are able to say about your writing. And I've gotten compliments from people saying, man, that was really thought-provoking. I'm like, really? I just did that at 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't realize. So yeah, I think you should definitely consider that and maybe handle that with Lizzy. I'm sure she'll be up for it. But yeah, blogging, podcasting, it's all the little things that we find and we enjoy doing.
Yeah, and I think it's fandom. You can get your voice out really easily now.
Yeah.
On the internet, on social media. It's so much easier to just say it and put it out there, which can be a bad thing sometimes. Sometimes you can say stupid stuff and not think about it. But it's also good when you have smart things to say.
Yes, exactly. So are there any other experiences that you've had either at Celebration or just trooping that really stood out to you that you want to share with others so that it inspires them to pursue something that they've been thinking about doing?
I think this is a trooping costume kind of story. But if you're on the fence about whether or not you want to build a costume and join the 501st or Rebel Legion or whichever costume group you want to join, I think the story I like to tell is that there have been, this is kind of multiple stories, but there have been multiple times where I'm just standing there and being Sabine, that's not as mainstream as if you were doing a Stormtrooper or Darth Vader. But I think it makes up for it with the fact that the kids who do know who Sabine is get so excited to see me, and they'll freak out and they want to hold all my stuff and play with it, and it makes me so happy to see them being happy. Yeah,
that's one thing that we're geared more towards the Star Wars animation side, Lucasfilm Animation, and what they've done to expand the stories in that world. And every time I see a Star Wars Rebels cosplayer, I freak out. I mean, we saw Agent Callus earlier. I was like, what? That's so cool. And it's because, we're still in that mentality that the animation side of it hasn't really reached that level of popularity, but slowly but surely we're seeing that, and a lot of people are excited about Star Wars: The Clone Wars coming back. So it's just really cool to see the animation side getting recognition, and well-deserved recognition, because they've done amazing things with their storytelling. Is there a particular series that obviously Star Wars Rebels, because you're dressed as Sabine, but how did Star Wars: The Clone Wars impact you growing up?
I think it impacted me because you didn't really have any Star Wars stuff like that I could remember coming out, so it was kind of like I always knew it, but it wasn't like anything new, so Clone Wars was new to me for that. But also because Ahsoka still to this day remains my favorite character, even though I'm in Sabine. Ahsoka's hard with the paint and everything. But because to me, because Ahsoka was like a young female character, where our other two before that female characters were Leia and Padme, who I loved, but they always felt like they already knew what they were doing, and it didn't feel as much like I could grow with them, where with Ahsoka, she was still young and still learning, and I was still young. I am still young, but I was younger then, so I got to like grow up with her, and I think that really stuck me to Star Wars animation.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Sabine's another great role model, because you get to see her when she's down, and you get to see her when she's really up there kicking butt. And so it's cool that they represent the modern girl, really. And I just love that about those two characters. Ahsoka's my favorite as well. And are there any other female Jedi that have impacted you?
I was like Shakti and Aayla Secura, just because they're like fun, colorful aliens, and I always thought that was cool. I can't think of any right now.
Yeah.
My head. There aren't that many.
Yeah, I know, there aren't that many. So that's another thing. So within the Star Wars universe, we're still trying to see more representation and diversity, and it's cool that we're getting all of these awesome characters like Rey and Jyn, and I can't remember all the names right now, but we're slowly but surely seeing these characters come to life. And something else that I wanted to bring up is, is there a founding woman or someone from the rebellion or resistance era that you admire?
Hera Syndulla, definitely, because she's from Rebels, but also because she's just like such a great leader, and she seems like she has flaws, obviously, like every character, but she seems to like she's in control of herself, and she isn't afraid to like step in and take charge, but she also knows when it's her turn to step back, because she doesn't know as much, which I think is something, especially me, but I think everyone could learn when they don't have as much control over the conversation, and should let someone who does know what they're talking about speak.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think for me, my favorite rebellion character is from Lego Star Wars, the Freemaker Adventures. Cordy Freemaker is awesome. She knows how to run around and try to get deals from bargains and whatnot. But yeah, Hera Syndulla is a fantastic character, and it's impressive to see how she went from just a captain of a ship to a rebellion leader and a mother, which is really impressive, especially given the war that they found themselves in. And are there any female villains that you find interesting?
I really like Ventress, although she kind of got redeemed, so I don't know how much of that. I also, she doesn't have as much screen time, but I really like Captain Phasma. I just think she's really cool, and I'm still reading the Phasma book, and she's really interesting in that. And she has a spear, and spears are cool. So.
Yeah, that's a great trait to have, spear skills. And I think my favorite villain she did become a villain, is Barriss Offee, and I remember still being mad at the fact that they made her into that, because I wanted her to be that friend that Ahsoka could rely on, and then all of a sudden she betrays Ahsoka, and she betrays the Jedi Order in such a horrific way, and then but then the point that she had when she was talking to everyone, she was highlighting how corrupt the Jedi have become. So the point that she was trying to get across, I completely understood, but the way that she went about doing it was just the tragedy of it all. And she even helped, according to the story, according to Dave Filoni and then all these other creators, the Grand Inquisitor that helped him become the Grand Inquisitor. And that's just really impressive. And she's one of my favorite characters, despite having gone the darker path. Any other women in Star Wars that you think have shaped the fandom?
Well, I mean, I think the two ones that have shaped the fandom, or three that have shaped the fandom the most, I think would be Leia, Ahsoka, and Rey.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Not to say, Padme also, I feel like she was underlooked a lot, but she's a really important character. Not just because she's Luke and Leia's mom, but also because she, in a deleted scene of Revenge of the Sith, which I don't know how canon that is, she, starts to found the rebellion when she realizes what path the Republic's going down. So I think her role in the Republic and trying to help the galaxy, I think, is really important and goes overlooked a lot. But
yeah, sadly, and she is an amazing character. I just wish she just didn't get with Anakin. I don't like that relationship. But
then you have Lizzy. Lizzy doesn't like Padme either because she went and tried to save Anakin when she was pregnant, and Lizzy's just concerned about the babies.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
That's why Lizzy doesn't like Padme.
But I remember when the Phantom Menace first came out, the trailer that I watched, or some TV spot that I watched, had her in her red gown, and I remember falling in love with that. And at the time, I still wasn't. I was a Star Wars fan because I had played with Rogue Squadron and a few other games on N64. Oh man, that was the best console, by the way. and so I remember seeing that image of her, and I thought, wow, I can't wait to go watch this movie in the theater. And I did, and it was awesome. You were not born yet,
no,
right? Oh,
I wouldn't be born for 2 years.
Wow, that's wow. Makes me feel old. So moving on, I mentioned earlier that we have the return of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and
yes.
That is. What was your reaction to that when you found out
tears.
That news? Tears? Actual tears?
Tears and running around and yelling and jumping. My mom's nodding because I was in the basement. Well, actually, I was, because you were there at the panel when they announced it, so I was just refreshing your Twitter feed, and you posted the picture where it had Clone Wars saved, and I was like, wait, what? And I was refreshing. I was like, Jonah, come on, tell me what happened next. And then the trailer came out and everything, and I ran upstairs and yelled and cried.
Yeah,
it was a good day.
Yeah, I had. I managed to get over to San Diego Comic Con for the announcement, and I had flown that previous Wednesday, I think, and slept over a hotel, and then woke up for that Thursday. I was like, yes, I'm ready. And because I didn't know, but I thought, man, anything Clone Wars related, Rebels related, I'm all for, and I would fly over to California just for that. So when that announcement came up, I had no idea, and I had been hanging around with certain people, and they were like, "Yeah, it's just a regular panel, just nothing important." And I'm like, "Okay," and I'm gullible that I believe it, and I was just so shocked by the end of it. I was trying to tweet out so that everyone could see that this announcement was just made, and oh man, I can't imagine the amount of work that has gone into bringing that back. And so what are some of the arcs that you want to see, some of the women characters that you want to see in the final episodes?
Well, I think, and I know we're going to get this for sure, the Siege of Mandalore episode. I'm very excited for that. That's Ahsoka and Bo-Katan, who I love both of them. And I'm hoping at the Ahsoka Tales Untold panel at Celebration London, which I wasn't there, but I watched a live stream of, they showed pictures of Ahsoka, and she would have an arc with the Emperor, or Chancellor then, and she would be trying to seal the door shut with her lightsaber, and he's electrocuting her through the lightsaber. And
I completely forgot about that.
I still don't quite understand 100% what's going on there, but I really want to see that because that looks like it would be so cool.
And also, she'd have to find a really good way to escape that because, as we know, she appears later on in Rebels. So I remember that image now. Yeah, I have to go back and figure out what happens there.
Because like when Filoni showed that and explained what was happening, I thought it was like really amazing.
Yeah,
and I really want to see that.
I definitely want to see, and I know there won't be that many women in this one, which is sad, but the bounty hunter arc, and there's at least Sugi, I think, is one of the bounty hunters. So that I definitely want to see because we've heard that they have audio for it, and we've seen the cast take a photo and whatnot. So I want to see that come to life, especially because we saw a clip of it in Star Wars Celebration Orlando between Cad Bane and Boba Fett, and I want to know what happens.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of other arcs. I do kind of, because I like Ventress a lot, and I do really want to see I kind of want to see the Dark Disciple arc animated. Because, also Lizzy's dad, who is a huge Quinlan Vos fan, would also love that. But I also feel like I kind of want to see news stories because the Dark Disciple arc was released as a book, a very good book.
Yes, by Christy Golden.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to see it animated because I think it would be cool. But if we're only getting 12 episodes, I kind of like to see stories we don't already know.
Exactly. Yeah, I would like that too. But I would really love a Dark Disciple arc more, just because I want to see Ventress in that beautiful ball gown that she was described in.
Well, I want to see Quinlan Voss's outfit.
Oh, that too.
Because they never released pictures of that. They at least released pictures of Ventress. They didn't release pictures of Voss's outfit.
Lizzy's dad is desperate for that kind of content.
Yeah, he is very desperate.
Since he cosplays as Quinlan Voss. So I know that we also have Star Wars Resistance on the horizon, and that's going to be premiering Sunday, October 7 at 10 p.m., but then you can also catch it on the Disney Now app. And what are some of the things that you're looking forward to from that show? I
really love Poe Dameron, so I really want to see Poe, and I kind of want to see Jason Syndulla from Rebels, like all grown up, to appear, but we'll see. I also want Jason Syndulla to just have a happy life, give Hera a break.
Give Hera a break, yes. After, we don't want to spoil in case you have not watched the series, but she does go through some traumatic things, and she does end up having a son. But yes, we want her to have a happy ending.
Yeah. So I kind of want to see Hera, but I also just want her to be chilling somewhere, just relaxing. No more sadness for Hera.
No more sadness for Hera. That should be the next hashtag we should create on social media.
So I'd like to see. I like all the new characters. I don't know any of their names for the life of me.
Oh, no worries.
But they all look really fun, and I like their designs. They're all fun and colorful.
Yes, so we have Tam Rivora, I think that's her name. She's the mechanic. And she actually reminds me a lot of a mechanic from a Disney movie called Atlantis, The Lost Empire. And I really want to see more of that because she looks like she has the same kind of attitude. And there's also the other female character who is Tora Doza, who is a racer pilot. And that ought to be interesting.
Yeah, the show looks fun. And I'm worried because it looks fun and happy, which I'm all for a fun and happy Star Wars show, which I was telling Jonah this earlier, but because Filoni is behind it, I'm worried he's hiding some sadness in there and we're not going to expect it. It's going to come out of nowhere. Yeah. That's what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does best, that's for sure. But I'm hoping he'll rein some of that back just so that we can just have the happy and fun.
I don't know. The second episode of Rebels is a fruit market, and look where we are at season 4.
That's true. This is true.
So I don't think he'll rein it in. I think he'll trick us.
Oh,
yeah. He'll make us think he's reining it in.
Yeah, you'll when you least expect it. Yeah. So let's talk about a few other things here. So if you weren't cosplaying, or podcasting, what's another hobby in the fandom that you would think about doing?
I think vlogging, like you said.
Yeah.
I think I would really like that. trying to think what else. I don't know.
There's also fan fiction writing. I know I do some of that as well. I love to explore what characters are capable of doing outside of what we see in the show or in the movies. So I like to read other people's work, and I like to share some of my own, although I haven't done that in a while, actually. But it's definitely interesting how you can put yourself creatively in that spot and just come up with your own story, with your own original characters. And it could potentially lead to something better, like writing your own story that is not Star Wars related.
It's also interesting, like, reading it and stuff, and just reading all kinds of things people write about Star Wars, and see people have, like, because everyone, I feel like, has a slightly different interpretation of every character. And I don't think they're ever necessarily wrong. I just think it's a little different for each person and how they view and relate to that character.
Yeah, that's a great point. And going along that blogging, fan fiction, podcasting, that all also involves social media. So have you experienced any of the divisiveness that has been in the fandom lately, especially given the Last Jedi, that everyone had very different opinions regarding that movie?
Yeah, I didn't feel it as much, because generally the people I'm with on the fan are generally pretty, not like-minded, but like we agree or we like respectfully disagree on certain things. So I didn't feel that as much like within my own like peer group, I guess, within the fandom, but I definitely saw like other people like getting in a huge fight. Actually, where's my phone? On Wednesday, I got a text from a number that I do not know, and let me see if I can find it. It's a person sent me a link to a video about how The Last Jedi is bad, and they said, all right, so this is the issue I have with episode 8, and this dude says it perfectly. I'm not looking for you to agree, but definitely look at this and consider it. Star Wars is too good to deserve The Last Jedi as a film. I have no idea who this person is.
No, yeah, wow.
And I didn't answer. I'm just like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah, it's kind of sad the way some people approach it, because they're so embedded with their opinion that they're not willing to see other perspectives. I mean, and I can be like that too, especially regarding some of the animated characters. I want to know where Ezra and Thrawn end up, and I have my theories and I will have my opinions about it, but it's important to be able to step back and realize that this is all, at the end of the day, a very fictional world, and you're pretty real, so I should respect you and your opinion. So yeah, I've noticed that there's not a lot of that going around, and it's easy to forget about that, especially when you're hiding behind a screen. You're not facing the actual person. So yeah, it's sad, but then there's some people who bring the positivity to the fandom, and I will say Star Wars Geek Girl is one of those positive forces in the fandom. Are there any other podcasts that you listen to that promote that kind of positivity?
Well, yours.
Oh, okay.
Definitely. Yours is very positive. The Elven Padawan and Shay, she's also very positive. I'm trying to think who else, because I know there's more, but I'm blanking right now.
There's a lot of Star Wars podcasts out there. And if you think that if you're thinking of starting your own Star Wars podcast or Star Wars website or what have you, if you think, oh, it's been done, there's already a whole bunch of websites and stuff out there, just go for it. I mean, I thought the same thing too, and I just decided to press publish that fateful day in February 2013, and I managed to do a lot of awesome things because of it. So don't think just because it already exists that you shouldn't be able to contribute your own voice. And I'm glad that you girls exist, because when I was your age, I was definitely not podcasting or blogging. And so I think you guys are a great role model for younger girls and younger boys as well, because they should be included in the community of this positivity and fandom. So I'm trying to think of what other awesome things we should talk about here, because I've run through my list. Are there any female characters that you've seen that have affected you in any way from the comic book. I mean, there's so many other things from the comics or the novels that we haven't even touched on.
Yeah, the comics, I will say I'm very, very behind on. I think I've read all of the Kanan comics and some of the Chewie comics, and I read the 3PO comic.
Didn't the Chewie comic also have a young girl?
Yeah, that had a girl. I never finished that, but I did cosplay that girl from the Chewie comic. Yeah, and Marty there and Chewie, we got a picture together.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I like her because I also like her design because she's just kind of wearing normal clothes that just like a normal shirt that if it wasn't for the Star Wars symbols you would find like anyone wearing, which I just thought was interesting because when you think of Star Wars costumes you think like the armor, all the fancy robes, so it's interesting to see just a normal like shirt and pants.
It's true. You have
It is. And then also in the books, I really like the character of Nora Wexley from the Aftermath series. I think she's really cool. She also deserves a break.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I haven't read the second and third books, but I've heard that she does need a break.
Yeah, she needs a break. She and Hera, I think, would get along well, though. That's one thing I want. I want Hera and Nora Wexley to meet. I think that would be a pretty cool meeting because they're both pilot moms. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
What else from the books? I really like Kaden from the Ahsoka novel.
Kaden, that's right.
And her little sister Miara.
Miara, yes. Those were interesting characters that E.K. Johnston created for that novel.
And there's a lot more men in the books, it feels like.
There are some, but I just can't remember any of them right now.
And also in the Aftermath series, there's a bounty hunter girl who's a niece of Suji, and I can't remember her. Johnamarie.
Yes, that's right.
She's really cool too. And
yeah, wow, and you remember more than I do, that's for sure. And are there any characters that you just want to see tossed in together? I know you mentioned Nora and Hera. So anyone else that you just want to see interacting? I mean, we see a lot of that in Forces of Destiny, actually. Yeah. Between Jyn and Sabine. Like, I never imagined these two characters would have met. I never would have
guessed that, but I like that episode a lot, actually. And I'd also like to see... I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, everyone's interacting.
I'd love to see Ahsoka interact with someone like Jyn, for sure. Although I don't know how that would fit in the timeline.
I'd like to see Ahsoka, like older Ahsoka, that we see at the end of Rebels with Luke and Leia. I think that would be an interesting interaction.
I think that's what everyone who wishes to see Ahsoka and the children of Anakin and
as well as
Padme,
older Rex.
Oh yeah,
those two.
Yeah, so I very much want to see some of these crossovers happen, and hopefully we'll get to see them in some form or another.
Yeah.
But now that I've mentioned Forces of Destiny, is there another female character that you want to see highlighted in this animated series?
Ventress. I really like Ventress.
Yeah. Oh, do you think, because I remember having gotten into the conversation of, well, she was a villain character at first, and then she became good, but then she's on that moral gray line. Do you think she is a good role model for young girls to be in that show?
I think she has good traits, and I think she's a good character to show that people can be more than their past. I wouldn't call her a role model. But I think she can be someone to not look up to, but like kind of admire in a way. One of my favorite episodes of Clone Wars or arcs or whatever is the one where she joins the bounty hunter crew with Boba Fett and the other people like Latz Razi.
Yeah, Bounty, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like, because she technically did a lot of morally wrong things there, but in the end, she saved a person and got away with a fair amount of money while not stealing from anyone, technically, besides the bad person who wanted a slave. So, like, it was interesting that she did something wrong for the right reasons, and like she got it right. Yeah. She's a fascinating character, and Nika Futterman does a fantastic job of voicing her. And speaking of voice actors,
what do you think of the women voice actors who've been such a big part of the fandom?
I admire all of them very much, especially Ashley Eckstein, because I feel like without her universe clothing line, I feel like women's geek clothing would be very far behind. I feel like she's definitely a pioneer in that way, and also because she voices so good, is my favorite. But I've met her, and I have also FaceTimed her once, and she's like one of the nicest people like in the world.
Yeah.
She's really amazing. And I met Tia Sarkar and Vanessa Marshall, and they're both also, Tia is Sabine and Vanessa is Hera, and they're both also very nice. And I think,
And Tia signed your helmet.
yeah, Tia signed the inside of my helmet.
Yeah. How was that? What was that experience like?
That was at Celebration, so it was like a line you had to go through the line, and I waited in the line for a long time. You had to go through the line, and then you could get a picture for her to sign, or she could sign something you had, so I had her sign the inside of my helmet. She was very nice. It was, it was a line, so I didn't get to talk to her too much, but, I thanked her for how well she plays Sabine. We talked for a little bit. She said she liked my armor and everything, and that was really cool.
Yeah, and I think another great ambassador of the Star Wars universe is Vanessa Marshall, who voices Hera, and she is a fantastic person who has so much energy and love for Star Wars. It's really cool when you see the actors get involved in fandom, and you get to see that a lot through some of the charity organizations, and I just love how they participate and make fandom fun, which is what it's supposed to be. Fandom is supposed to be fun, above all else.
Yeah.
And inclusive too. So does anyone have any questions regarding Zoe here and her experiences in Star Wars, or just Star Wars in general, that we may have answers about? Nothing? Okay. Well, we have 4 things to give away, and if you got a raffle ticket, if not, we have some up here that we can give you. So, thank you. So if anyone is going to participate in this, please make sure you give us your raffle ticket, so that way I can...
Before we do that, I want to give something to Jonah that we made.
What?
Jonah came down here all the way from Manhattan, so as a thank you, we made her this.
That's amazing!
For you.
Thank you so much! Captain Rex is one of my favorites. I consider him my fictional husband. He's amazing. Oh my gosh, thank you. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did cast
No
that.
way. Wow, this is the best gift ever. Really. Wow, thank you so much. I can't wait to show my mom.
She put it
in the inside.
Oh, that's so neat. I forged this armor with my family for my family. I'm gonna cry. I can't cry right now. Oh my God, thank you. That's amazing. Wow. I mean, sorry guys, your giveaways aren't as cool as this. So how about you pull out the first winner? So that will be this Sabine figure here.
Yes. So this is number 871021. So does anyone have that one?
No. Okay. That's true. Yeah, no worries.
871019. That's
Yay! You have a Sabine.
and a stormtrooper.
And a stormtrooper, that's right.
There's 2.
I forget he's there. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're welcome. Yay! All right, so the next one is this. It's a special action figure set featuring Aphra and her droids. And I have to admit, I have not read the Aphra comics. I feel bad, like a bad fan for not reading these comics. But I know. But this was an SDCC exclusive. So go ahead and pull out the next number.
Okay, I'll drop it. 871002.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Okay, so the next one is a Leia Forces of Destiny figure. Oh wait,
It's in
Ray. Oh my God! Wait a
okay.
second.
It's in the Ray box, but it's
Yeah, that's
the back.
Variant.
Yeah.
It's a variant.
All right, the back is the box for that one.
Yeah,
But-
that's so
okay.
funny.
So, all right.
Well, this is a Leia figure with a Ray packaging.
Well, it has the Leia packaging on the front, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's so old.
Right
This is the
back.
keeper, you guys. So go ahead and pull out that number.
871005.
Awesome. Well, you get this awesome variant.
Yeah, the Force of Destiny dolls are really good.
Yeah. So this last one is Ray of Jakku and BB-8.
In the right packaging.
In the correct packaging, so it's not as variantness. So. Oh, the last one? Okay, so let's see here. So I have 871008. Oh, yay! Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys, and thank you for. Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope you guys had a great time listening to Zoe talk about her fandom and what we expect to see, what we hope to see in the new Star Wars: The Clone Wars episodes coming next year. We have to wait. It's not right.
It's in a little, it's next summer, right?
I think I would hope so.
For the Disney streaming service.
Yes, for the Disney streaming service. And of course, Star Wars Resistance, which is coming out October 7 at 10 p.m. on the Disney Channel and Disney Now app. So, thanks, guys, and may the Force be with you.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, and the podcast, Star Wars Geek Girl, you can find it on iTunes.
Yes.
And you can also find the Star Wars Geek Girl podcast on Twitter with the handle SW Geek Girl.
And you're
Oh, in my, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting everything today. My information, you can find me at thewookieegunner.com, and that's Wookiee with 2 E's. 2 E's, you guys. I keep seeing 1 E. And you can also find me at Blue Jag Eyes, and that's these little things here, because I love Rex so much, and that's me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere else. So that's it. And I have some buttons here if you guys want some buttons to take away with you. Cool. So thanks again.
Thank you.